There are people who say that this ranching is just a facade. In other words, the people who actually need the land will never get the land. When this type of suspicion and animosity, as it were, reigns against a particular group of people or reigns around them, how, certain is it that they will be able to get land?
That is not true. If you go to Mambila, the people who have bought land in Mambila are the rich people of this country. It is the rich people who own the cattle. They can ranch the cattle. They can buy land no matter at what cost because they have the money.
Is that right in all circumstances? Are we saying that poor people do not also own cattle amongst the Fulani herdsmen?
No, it's not only Fulani herdsmen who have cattle.
I'm just asking.
Yes, poor people can own, but poor people should keep these cattle in enclosures on their land. That is what we are saying.
No, my question also is, if you suspect that this is an attempt to take over lands, what are the chances that if people come and say, well, we want to buy land, that you will be willing, that the communities will be willing to give them land?
I have said people who own this cattle have the wherewithal to buy the land. And they have bought land in this country for other purposes. So why is it difficult for them to buy land for ranching?
And these people are who? You talked about the rich men in this country. Are they all Fulani?
They are not all Fulani, but the Fulani people who own cattle have sufficient money to buy land. Let me give you an example, something you may not know. There's an NGO in Kaduna called the Pastoral Reserve. In the past 5 years or so, the Pastoral Reserve has put together about 5 billion, according to them, to try to establish grazing reserves in some states of the country. If you have 5 billion naira there, why wouldn't you talk about establishing ranches?
I'm curious, Professor, if you say then that this is about political power, this is about finding a home for the Fulanese, making Nigeria their second home. How does ranching solve that political problem?
For us in Benue, what the governor has consistently said and what we believe is the correct position is that there's no land to give the Fulanis of the whole world just to come and be grazing indiscriminately. If they have to graze in Benue, it has to be on ranches. They have killed too many of our people. They have caused a lot of problems. And mind you, even the people who are not killed, if you destroy their farms, if you destroy their homes, it means that it is genocide we are talking about.
Professor, when you say they, essentially what you're doing is painting a very broad stroke over a number of people, and that can be very dangerous, because if nativist tendencies emerge and we begin to say they, all of these people are now terrorists, it's very dangerous and antithetical to national unity.
It's not dangerous. It's not dangerous because the umbrella bodies of the Fulani have indirectly claimed responsibility for this. They have threatened everybody. They have said blood will flow. And then the patrons of these Fulani groups, who are ranking traditional rulers, have also supported them. So if the patrons are supporting them and saying that they are not doing this, if the umbrella bodies of the Fulanis themselves are saying that they are taking responsibility for this, why should I not be broad-minded?
The reason that presupposes that the purported security reports that the IS has a hand in the invasion of these people, that presupposes that that's completely false. This is simply an ethnic agenda within Nigeria.
Well, I have told you before, this thing has been happening for more than 5 years. Where were these security people when this thing was happening? Why are they bringing this report just yesterday? But I have told you I'm not a security person. But I doubt why they are bringing this security report now. Why are they bringing it now?
I have one final question, Professor. If this is indeed, as you say, an ethnic agenda amongst actors within this country, why is it that these people have been doing what they've been doing now for decades, really for centuries, and all of a sudden it's becoming extremely violent?
Well, it's becoming extremely violent because they are being emboldened. They are emboldened. I told you that they strike this with every presidential candidate or every president that comes into the country. So as they strike this deals, things work for them. They started this in the plateau, and they boasted that they will go to Benue. They have come to Benue. They are in all parts of the country. The whole idea is just to choke the country. Once you choke the country, then people will be afraid and say that let us just stop this violence and give these colonies and give these reserves. Remember, Audogbe was not talking about colonies when he came first. He was talking about grasses to come from Brazil, forgetting that they have developed grasses in this country, in agricultural research institutes, that are good for this herdsman. When the grasses thing failed, he went to grazing reserves and stock routes. When that one failed, he's not talking about colonies. There's only one example or template of colonies in this world. It is in Pakistan. And the man doesn't really know what he's talking about.
Professor,
he doesn't.
The Mayati Allah have claimed, they've made an unverified claim that 800 of their people have been killed and that nobody's talking about it. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't know. They are talking about what happened in some other state, not in Benue. But let me tell you one thing. Let me just tell you one thing. If this country is to survive and develop as a prosperous country, even one life is important. If for whatever reasons they killed so many of their people and they didn't want to talk, if they kill my brother, just one person, I should talk, if I'm able to talk. So I don't know why they didn't talk. I can hold forth for them. But the important thing is that the lives of citizens of this country are very important. And I think that Fulani people, particularly those who are herding cows in the bush, they must thank Governor Samuel Otom for liberating them. Because two questions are important if their liberation must be complete. Why is it that the children of emirs, the children of Fulani politicians, and the children of Fulani technocrats, why are they not herding cows with them in the bush? Why are the children of these big people not fighting in the bush for Fulani rights? Why?
Oh, Professor, that's where we'll have to leave it. Professor Zacharys Gundu is a professor of archaeology at the Ahmadu Bello University